Hey. Welcome back and howdy. Um, as you can see, stuff has changed. Intro changed. I changed my seat for no particular reason. Actually, for a bunch of particular reasons. Let me not shade around that. Just wanted to change stuff up. I wanted to put some more effort into what I was doing because, at the end of the day, you get in what you put out, or you get out what you put in. And I have the willpower, I have the ability, I have the technology, I have, I guess, the understanding, and what's that word? The willingness. I'm willing to try and fuck up and continue to make it better and more enjoyable. And I never do, but I listened to a recent episode, like parts of it, and I was just pretty insulted and upset with the quality of what I was doing. And I was just like, I can't even assume that this would be enjoyable to consume in any aspect, especially with the lack of not even lack of effort, but just lack of production. So, and everything that I like and enjoy and watch on a consistent basis is a really good emphasis on the quality of what they're doing. So I think if I want to be anything like my idols, then I should do the same. Today's just been one of those Mondays, man. It's Monday today. Optically, it would seem like it would be a good day. Woke up to the sun, good shower. Didn't even need a coffee this morning. But just everything just went wrong technologically. I guess for work, for not to bore anybody, but everything was down. So I guess it ended up almost being like a kind of a good day, but I was super busy in every other regard. It's not like just because the system was down, I didn't get to work. I had to do that, but I also started filming my first short film. I'm pretty sure the title, my undrafted title, is going to be Slim Pickens. That will be the name of it. And I've started filming it, and it's just as frustrating as you could imagine. Anybody who tries to make a film or a movie, I give them great praise, because anybody willing to do that and having the money or the knowledge or the patience, like today, day one of filming, absolute just torture fest. Camera just fogged up on me. But it wasn't until after I got like prepped and ready to like shoot a scene to where my camera just decided not to work. So when I'm dirty, wet, sweating, and barefoot with ticks running around my ankles in the middle of like a 95-degree day, where I have like an hour to shoot when I wanted to shoot, camera just doesn't work. So yeah, I just yelled into the abyss for a little bit with my hands on my hips. And it was just so funny, the outfit I was wearing. Like what I might have looked like just sulking in the middle of the forest with a camera on a tripod. Like I can't imagine that's like, the brawniest or the most masculine thing to look like in that time. But yeah, I'm kind of doing this because I don't edit podcasts enough, and I should. I need to. I think it's, kind of my due diligence if I'm going to take the headway of doing something like this. And but yeah, I mean, it comes with a lot of frustration, but I'm here for it, man. I mean, I always feel like I learn so much when I get mad. Like, I feel like anger is like the best emotion to learn from. It's not happiness or sadness you can learn a lot from, but I feel like anger specifically teaches me a lot about myself, like how I react to certain things. Like, am I going to let this issue get me upset? Am I going to let it get in my way? As my laptop is about to die. As my laptop was dying in the middle of that, just perfect essence, perfect example of what I was talking about. Am I going to let that situation of the technology knock me off my pivot and get so upset that I just, the world is against me. no, I'm not going to fucking do that. I put myself in this situation. I gave myself the opportunity to run into that mistake, this conflict, this issue. And you solve it and you laugh at it. You just got to laugh that you put yourselves in these spells of madness and that you allow yourself to go through these tribulations and come out on top. You have to allow yourself the ability to understand that conflict and upsetness and anger is just learn from it, man. It's just a bunch of malarkey at the end of the day. And you end up just laughing at it. Like all those videos you see online of people doing stuff angrily. Like, they just end up laughing at the video afterwards. It's what it's about, man. It's the whole fucking thing. You know? And I know I usually talk about, like, articles and topics, and I will edit them in as I talk about them. That's the next step to this evolutionary process. Yeah, and speaking of podcast editing, RSS.com, supposed distributor of online podcasts, complete pyramid and Ponzi scheme. It's the stupidest website ever. They would not let me change my subscription to monthly, my billing to monthly. They kept it on annually for obvious reasons. Anybody who's an annual subscriber knows you pay everything up front at some prorated rate versus paying it per month and then canceling it when you don't, you know what I'm saying? But they wouldn't let me change it. So rule number one, or step number one of them being, excuse me, a bullshit pyramid scheme and not giving access to legit resources. Also, won't give me access to any of the accounts that I've logged into on there. Apple, Spotify, any podcast, any Stitcher, any platform you could listen to a podcast on. They won't let me access those profiles, so I can log in and upload them individually. It's almost like I got to start a whole new, like, Spotify profile in order for myself to continue to upload my podcast. So I'm trying to avoid that at all costs, but RSS has me by the nuts. You know, what do you know? Corporations doing it again. So anybody that I could give advice to about any of this is don't start a podcast. Don't do any of these things. But if you do it on your own, upload it individually to those individual sites like Apple Podcasts and things of that nature. It's way more worth it. And I can guarantee you not everybody uses Stitcher or Pandora or iHeartRadio for their podcasts. And if they do, join the Ponzi scheme, join the pyramid scheme of RSS. Yeah, and I don't know anybody who deals with like SD cards on a pretty consistent basis, but I do, especially with this stuff. And they package them like it's Colombian cocaine. I have to open the box every single time with one of my flip knives and have to like slice it out, shimmy it out, and then wonder why they break and don't work and all that malarkey. But I just want to know if anybody struggles with opening SD cards like I do. Maybe it's because they don't want people to steal them. I mean, it's impossible. It's like fucking, I don't know. There's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way for when I put them in a plastic box and then unlock them. So when I get them, you know, do like the California or the New York CVS thing where they just don't let people have access to any goods unless they're behind glass doors. Do that for SD cards. Don't do that for fucking toilet paper and tissues. Do it for SD cards, you know? Do it for the $35 8 gigabyte SD card that I have to buy in order to record 30 minutes of audio. Yeah, do that. Yeah, and speaking of a lot of these issues that I've been dealing with, I've been actually dealing with an internal problem, like a problem at home. It's been a pretty big task on my life. I don't know if anybody's ever had ants. Insert Family Guy clip.
Wow, I haven't felt this powerful since I got to decide which ant lives and which ant dies. You shall battle to the death, and the winner will be given his freedom. Why are you looking at me like that?
Peter, would you like a glass of... Oh, my God! I told you not to play God with those ants!
Oh, it's going under the fridge! Oh!
Just use a dish towel.
There aren't any, Brian! You need to come in here! Oh! We are gonna have ants!
Ants are... I low-key think ants are worse than cockroaches. Because, like... I don't know if I've ever really had cockroaches. Maybe in college a little bit. I'd say I'm a little too white to have cockroaches. But don't get it twisted. We've had centipedes, millipedes, all that shit in my house as a kid. I've seen every other hard-shelled insect. Every other arthropod type insect, but never had roaches in my house. But ants, dude, fucking ants are the worst. First of all, they're so organized, and like, I'm an organized cat, I'd like to say, and to see how organized they are, just wow. Salute to them. But they're always so organized in how they assemble. They're always going right to where they need to and then right back, which is kind of works against their mold. But let me not get ahead of myself. They always seem to find these spots, these pockets of, houses, or specifically where my dog likes to lay his head at night, like where his food bowl is, because he eats like he has this fucking 6 holes in his mouth. But like there's like these little tiny bits of food, they just create these assembly lines that can be tens of hundreds of yards long to wherever they're going, and then it's just been bogging my household. Like, I find them at these crevices of the doors, going into the garage, going into shed, my garden. It's too much. And we've probably bought over, I don't know. I don't even know if I could put a dollar sign on the amount of ant spray that we've bought to kill. But dude, the crazy thing is that when you find where they're like their source of food, don't kill them right away. Don't just put the track down there. You gotta let them build their lineup. You gotta let them build their assembly line. Like, and you gotta be able to understand where they taking that. Where are they going home to? And that's what I do. When I see the ants conglomerate over a spot, I don't get so hasty and grab at them. I follow their line home and I find their nest, and then that's where we've been going. And I've just been absolutely assaulting generation after generation after generation of ants. And it hasn't affected my sleep. I've actually been sleeping a lot better because of how much less ants we've had. But I always think about the humanity of ants. And one of my favorite movies as a kid was the movie Bug's Life with all the ants. And then there's the movie Ant? No. It's one of the movies like that. But specifically Bug's Life, like those ants, like I wonder, because my favorite character as a kid was Hopper, who I didn't know was Kevin Spacey as a kid, so do your research. But I feel like I just became the Hopper of society to these ants, because I just track them down and I nuke them every single time. Like, I found some ant bushels. Like, when I say bushels, I mean like their little homestead of eggs. And if you've ever seen ant eggs, it just looks like it looks like a bunch of like little like yellow larva Tic Tacs, but they're so small, and like they have so many of them. There's so many of them when you find them that they just it's bad. It's ugly, and they're always in the craziest spots. And I always find them like under rocks or in corners and shit. And I flipped a rock the other day, and there was just a fuck ton of them. And I went and got that ant spray. And this had to have been the last leg, because I have murdered at least, if you take your 2 hands together and you filled ant eggs up to like your middle finger, I've killed probably about 6 to 7 bushels of those type of ants. And if you could imagine what is leading to that, it's always long lines of ants. Like, I hate to sound so extremely militant about how I'm going upon this, but it's the only way. It's the only option. It's me or the ants. It's me or the ants. It's going to be me every time. Choosing me every time. But enough of that jargon. Kill the ants. Just get regular pest control. Be detailed about those locations for the ants, because those fat fucks will just walk around your house, spray nothing, and fucking leave. $120 for pest control. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. Oh. A lot of recalls been going on recently. Specifically, the one I'm interested in that has nothing to do with my actual point is Ford. Ford had a big transmission problem and then recalled like 850,000 vehicles, which, classic Ford. Ford sucks. It's like, no, they're putting all their money in the racing right now. I get it. But specifically, wanted to mention there's been a lot of recalls like in grocery stuff. Like Walmart recalled like over like 8 million water bottles because like 2 people got poisoned off a water bottle. And I was talking about this with somebody, and then I think I heard it on the History Hyenas with Chris Stefano and Giannis Pappas on YMH Studios. Go check it out. It's a fucking great podcast, great Patreon. But the idea of recalls, like trying to disintegrate the infrastructure of like American, like certain American economy or points of the economy, is kind of like how I feel these are being geared, because there's just so many of them, and it's just like the most bullshit. It's like 6 strawberries poisoned a baby, so now they have to recall the entire strawberry field of Mexico and burn it and send ice down there and kill everybody. Like, that's what they've been doing. That's bad. That's not what I mean, but you know what I mean. Like, they just recall everything. They basically stop the funnel of that shit coming up. And let me backtrack. None of that's funny. What they did, to these ice melts. Let's just say that. I don't agree with all that shit. That's can't bolster yourself upon society like a fucking Call of Duty character. It doesn't work like that. It's not how American politics or American society is made up. This wasn't where I was trying to go with my point. I was talking about strawberries and recalls, and how these recalls, they're basically meant to like disable the economy in certain ways. And I don't know if the idea is to go for the water or just the Walmarts, but like, it takes me back to, I think it was 1982 when that Tylenol thing happened, when people were putting, they were basically poisoning Tylenol capsules, trying to get like big pharma to like regulate their shit, like over the counter, under the counter, whatever. But, yeah, it's just something. I feel like I feel you can kind of string those together and just take it with a grain of salt. Like, okay, if you're really scared about recalls, like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? Like, if you eat Chipotle, you shouldn't be worried about any recalls. If you eat a Chipotle bowl more than once a week, you should not be concerned with any recall that goes on in America. In fact, if you eat Chipotle once a week, you should be able to travel to Mexico and drink their tap water straight. That's what I think. And my notes just say donkey bomb, but I know what that means. And there is actually a news article that doesn't just mean donkey bomb. This isn't funny, but it's pretty fucking funny, but it's not that funny. But I mean, what the fuck? This is like, I don't know if anybody's ever seen Tropic Thunder. This is probably the most Tropic Thunder shit I've ever read. Bomb strapped to a donkey explodes, killing 2 soldiers and killing a soldier and wounding 2 others. I'll read that again. Bomb strapped to a donkey explodes, killing a soldier and wounding 2 others. I don't know why this completely distracted me, but there's some ad on CBS News, because this is where the Apple News app gets their news from, I guess, is CBS News. Some decades after Pablo Escobar brought hippos to Colombia, a country is now dealing with dozens of them. Why would Pablo Escobar do that? Why would he bring hippos to? I guess he was just trying to be exotic. Colombia's got a hippo problem. Oh, son of a bitch. And you thought your city was fucked up. You don't got a bunch of hippos running around. Anyway, back to the donkey. Am I talking about me or the article? For you to decide. A soldier died. 2 more were wounded Wednesday with a bomb that guerrilla fighters had attached to a donkey exploded in northwest Colombia, a local government official said. The attack in Valdivia in Colombia's Antioquia department was attributed to the National Liberation Army, known by its Spanish language acronym ELN, with which the government has suspended peace talks as the conflict-torn South American country faces its worst violence in a decade. The talks were frozen in January when the ELN blamed over 100 deaths in raids near the border with Venezuela. The groups had intensified its attacks on Colombia's security forces then, and the mayor or the governor, Andres Julian Rondon, announced the attack post on X saying 1 officer was killed and 2 injured. I mean, if you have to think about it this way, though. Like, yeah, that's a problem that you have the ELN, revolting against the government. But if their best bet is strapping a bomb to a donkey, I mean, they're thinking for sure. They're using their brain. But this doesn't seem like the most advanced warfare tactic that I've ever heard of. yeah, I'm okay on this article. With the goal of achieving total peace after decades of conflict, leftist President Gustavo Petro took office in 2022 and reopened peace talks with an array of armed groups. Colombia has enjoyed most of the decade relative peace until signing the deal in 2016 led to the disarmament of its biggest rebel army, FARC. Yet pockets of the country are still controlled by assorted left-wing guerrillas, right-wing paramilitaries, and drug cartels vying control of narcotics production, illegal mining, and traffic routes. The U.S. has designated FARC and ELN as foreign terrorist organizations. Peace signing of a deal in 2016 led to the disarmament of its biggest rebel army. Yeah, I mean, this kind of sounds like a small planet of Star Wars. Like the government now owned by this is exactly Star Wars. So they had this new governor come in. Now I see it. They had this new governor come in and he disarmed their biggest rebel army, FARC. And now to America, FARC, which was essentially an ally to the Colombian government back when they needed that defense, America now recognizes them as not an ally of Colombia or themselves. So they recognize it as equal as ELN. So the same people strapping donkeys to bombs to donkeys and sending them towards the government is apparently the same people, or they're the same level of sinning. Or they're the same evil as FARC, FARC can try to help them. And I don't ever like comparing sins to sins because it's incomparable. Because if another man sins differently than you do, doesn't mean he's any better or any worse. I mean, grade the sin on logic, murder and curse, come on. But you know what I mean? Like, just because another man sins differently than you doesn't mean, you can judge them that harshly. So, but this seems a little irrational. This seems like Palpatine's in the back twiddling his fingers once again. But not the Palpatine small cap guy me and you know very well. Talking about a different one. But that's the Donkey Bomb article. I thought that was pretty interesting. Okay, here we go. This is where I'm going to start to get a little upset. Let's see if I can find the specific reading point that I wanted to find. But it was specifically geared towards the FTC and their lack thereof of executing, the goodness and humanity of America. So, Federal Appeals Court has struck down on the FTC's click to cancel rule. This would have required companies to make it easier for customers to cancel subscriptions. It was supposed to go into effect next week, and it was supposed to go today, July 14th, I believe today. It was supposed to go in effect today. Yeah, so I saw a bunch of memes. It was like the government tries to do its job for once, and some judge just says no. But that's not necessarily how it went. The Federal Appeals Court struck down the FTC's click to cancel rule just days before it was supposed to take effect today, July 14th, 2025. The rule would have forced companies like Netflix, gyms, airlines, etc. to let company or customers cancel subscriptions as easily as signing up, requiring the same number of clicks and no forced chats or calls. The court's decision didn't reject the goal of the rule. It was overturned purely on procedural grounds. Specifically, the FTC failed to conduct a preliminary regulatory analysis as required for any rule expected to impact the economy by more than $100 million annually. Because that step was skipped, the court declared the rule invalid. So if you read that as objectively as I do, and you see retards, I don't care if I get demonetized for using that word on YouTube, you see dummies talk about like, oh, that stupid judge, blah, 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 government, blah, blah, blah. No, the government literally preemptively skipped a step in this bill or in this act and was like, yeah, we'll skip this because we essentially put the judge, we corner the judge in saying no because she doesn't have or he doesn't have the ability to say yes because it would be illegal. So if that judge goes, oh, you skipped that on purpose, I'm going to clear this because it's right, that judge then gets fired for like malpractice, like I'm sure malpractice or something. Like it's not going to just go over easy. So this is just another example of when the government, like, I think this is honestly a perfect example of what's going on right now for everybody who voted for the blonde guy as president, they were promised a lot of different things in terms of policies, in terms of change, X, Y, Z, whatever. And then it just it wasn't necessarily delivered on. And if anything, a lot of other things were highlighted in red rather than just framed. Let's just say that, things were a little taken out of proportion, to say the least. But this is just a prime example of something being promised, and my mom always said, don't over promise. Like, there's no need to overextend yourself and over promise somebody and end up disappointing someone. You always want to be, not undervaluing, but like under assuming, in terms of like what you promise to people. That way you can over deliver most of the time. Not that that's kind of not to be like completely, I'm not trying to sway somebody either way, but that's just, regardless, they fucked up. They overpromised and they understepped. And like specifically like this with what's going on right now, like this just doesn't make it's upsetting that something as simple as this that would literally like just give people more control of their dollar. Now don't have that. Like it's something that is so viable with everything, like because it wasn't just fucking streaming shits that like people have subscriptions to a lot of different stuff, and then like everything that's going on with this quote unquote big beautiful bill, this unregulated AI, like this is like all these stuff that's just being unregulated and just freelanced upon of this economy. It's kind of upsetting. It makes you lose faith in any system in a lot of ways, which is I guess their goal. But I still have pride, and I still feel like things can be okay at the end of the day. It's just kind of bullshit that, you could promise something then totally underdeliver like that. It's just, doesn't really make sense. And I'm gonna insert these articles and stuff, so don't worry. You can always read them and do whatever you need to do, in that regard. But I think I don't really have much else I want to really talk about. I have like some rage bait at the end that got me pretty fired up. It's more Italian stuff, and specifically like these Italians saying that, their stereotype gets a lot of bashful comments because they're thick-skinned and blah 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 blah.
These are the last people we can be openly racist against.
What I don't like right now is I think it's open season on stereotypical uses for Italian Americans, right? You could do whatever you want. You can cast a non-Italian American to play Italian American with a stereotypical accent. You can walk around saying, "Oh," or "gabagool," or "sleep with the fishes."
You're 1,000% right. Like just even running the Hardcore Italians page too, some of the comments I see, it's like you would never say this for another ethnicity, or you know what I mean? Like there's a huge double standard on Italian. I feel like we have thick skin. Probably growing up, we have thick skin. You know what I mean? So I don't know if we just like never really stood up as much as we should have. Yeah. But yeah, it's getting out of hand. Even like comedian Shane Gillis said something like Italians are the only people you can still make fun of.
Oh, he's got to admit about that.
Italians are the last people we can be openly racist against.
What?
Now they're extorting like comics for it, specifically in this clip. Like how you're coming at Shane Gillis for his Italian joke. Like you're just giving him all the more reason to load up and just nuke the Italians. Like you're feeding right into the frenzy there, and like you look like such a pusillanimous person for complaining about that. Like if anything, like that's a compliment. The joke about the Italians being the last people you could be racist to, like, yeah, great. Like I love when people are racist to Italians. I almost always agree with them. And I feel like I've been running like I'm not going to touch on this now, but I think it's just a load of fucking malarkey for people to get upset at something like that, especially a comedian doing a joke. Like obviously his goal is not to hurt people. Like, and if your goal is to hurt people out here, then obviously like malignant behavior should be treated malignantly. And if you're making malignant comments with malignant presumptions, and that's like your goal to be like insulting and make somebody upset and ruin their day, then I'd say you'd fit the category of being a racist, like, or in this case a racist, but in most cases whatever. But yeah, like just your intention matters, and if somebody tells you they don't like how something made them feel, then you have to be receptive to that and you have to understand that. But I mean, dude, come on. Yeah, man, that's all I really got. I just wanted to kind of get this out there, start this flow, get this rolling. Short little burst episode, more to come. We'll see how the editing goes on this one, and maybe I sit here next time, maybe I don't. That way I can pull up the articles right away and just not have to cut them in. But we'll see how it goes. I appreciate everybody listening and watching. Thank you very much. Adios.
Hello there, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Is something really satisfying?